Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Forgy. I'm the chair of the Ways and Means Committee for the Greenfield City Council. Today is Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. It is 5 p.m. and we are meeting via Webex. Before I call the meeting to order, I'd just like to state the following, that this meeting is being recorded by the Ways and Means Committee. If you have any other person present is doing the same, you must notify me as chair at this time. Okay, we'll take a roll call. Councillor Bottomley, would you like to do the honors?
Sure, thank you. Councillor Forgy.
Here.
Councillor Jarvis.
Here.
Councillor DeSorger.
Here.
Councillor Mayo.
Here.
And I'm Councillor Bottomley, present.
Thank you. Excellent. We have a full house tonight. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from our November meeting?
So moved.
So moved.
Second, Jarvis.
Okay. Any addendums, changes, any discussion about these minutes? Okay, all in favor of the minutes, please indicate by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the minutes are accepted. We don't have any public hearing this evening. We do have a lot on our agenda, so we will try to get going with this right away. I don't know if I'm going to be off camera, but I am going to have to look at different screens here. So we have a number of motions that have to do with money items, and they will be happening this evening as well. So let's start with Fiscal Order 22-044, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner, in order to approve payment of a prior year invoice in the amount of $1,700, ordered that the Greenfield City Council approve the payment of prior year invoices for KP Law PC in the amount of $1,700 to be paid from the fiscal year 22 Energy Department budget. 9/10 vote is required. Is there
Second, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this bill at all? Okay, hearing no discussion, I ask for a vote. All in favor of accepting this bill?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's a positive recommendation coming out of, unanimous positive recommendation coming out of our committee. Go on to our second item. Order number fiscal year 22-043, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner, ordered that the sum of $13,375 be appropriated from contract stabilization account to assist in funding wage provisions of a new contract agreement with the Central Maintenance Union. 2/3 majority required. Can I have a second?
Second, DeSorger.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this?
No.
Okay, if there is no discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All those in favor indicate aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's unanimous. Our next item. Just make sure I'm on the right. Yeah, there's so many. Okay. Our next item is order number fiscal year 22-060. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Wiedegardner, the sum of $34,359 be appropriated for contract stabilization to fund retroactive wage provisions of a new contract agreement with City Hall clerical and library employees, United Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers of America, UE, and its affiliate, Local 274 of the United Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers of America. 2/3 majority vote. Is there a second?
Second, Mayo.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, I'll ask for a vote on the question. All those in favor, please indicate. Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that's unanimous as well. On to our next article. I'll get there. Holy mackerel. Order number fiscal year 22-062. The City Council, upon recommendation of the Mayor Weidergardner, ordered that the sum of $98,251 be appropriated to fund retroactive wage provisions of a new contract agreement with the Salary Schedule Employees Association, SSEA, to be funded as follows. Contract stabilization, $83,091. Sewer retained earnings, $7,059. Water retained earnings, $8,101. Total, $98,251. Majority vote required. Can I have a second?
Second, DeSorger.
Thank you. Is there any discussion about this one?
I do have a
Councilor
question.
Bottomley.
Yeah, I'm curious why we would use money from sewer and water to fund salaries. I'm just curious if there's an answer to that.
Yeah, I'll try to answer that for you. People are covered by a contract, but they may be receiving their salary and wages out of different funding sources. So not everybody who's receiving an increase is working out of a general fund position. If, for instance, you are working for water or sewer, those are both enterprise funds, and as such, everything gets charged back, including salary and wages, to the enterprise fund, and it has to stay self-contained. So that's why it funds itself, and there are employees that are covered by the union contract that work in those enterprise fund positions, and everybody else works in general fund positions. Does that answer the question?
I think so. I just wasn't sure if it was mandatory that we do that or if it was a choice to use that, or if is it portions of salaries, or employees are paid completely out of water and sewer enterprise funds?
They're paid completely out of water and sewer enterprise fund.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, I will ask for a vote. All those in favor, please indicate. Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Okay, on to the next one. A lot of language changes in that contract. Fiscal Order 22-061, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Weidergardner, ordered that the sum of $82,092 be appropriated from free cash to fund retroactive wage positions of a new contract agreement with the Mass Cop Local 470 Greenfield Police Union. Majority vote.
Second, DeSorger.
Thank you. Is there discussion on this?
I just wanted to say, if I may, Councilor Forgy.
Sure, go right ahead, please.
I did very kindly heard from the chief this afternoon, although I was very late in asking him my question, very late, that that K-9 unit only applied to one person. So I thought I'd share that with the group because I shared the question. But I do have a general question was, why would this come out of free cash as opposed to contract stabilization? But I'm glad that we've settled the contract, of course.
I would ask if Liz is available.
Sure.
There.
If you could please enlighten us. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, there's still several more contracts to be presented to council. The mayor did not want to drain contract stabilization completely. We could have done two different votes where we put it into contract stabilization and then taken it out again, but it seemed, if more efficient to do it this way. So basically what we're trying to do is not drain contract stabilization. So we're paying, as you just voted, central maintenance, SSEA, and clerical out of contract stabilization. And the remaining contracts presented and still to come will be from free cash.
Councilor Discorder? Yes, go right ahead.
If I may, thank you, Director Gilman. And again, I am sorry to ask so late. I'm helping my daughter. So just how much after we've taken this out? I think we put in around 300,000 to contract stabilization. What's going to be left after we take out what we're taking?
170,178. I'm thinking, the mayor and I are thinking long term, so that as these contracts come up, we don't all of a sudden have to put in 400,000 or 500,000 into contract stabilization. So if we keep putting money into it each year, when the contracts come up again, we will be able to more readily fund the contracts.
I have a question, if I may.
Sure.
Two, actually. Sorry. At the end of the fiscal year, if that line item has a balance, does it close to free cash?
Which one?
The negotiated salary contract line item.
Contract stabilization?
Contract stabilization?
Yes,
or
yes, I'm sorry. Old terminology.
Does not.
It does not close.
Stabilization does not close to free cash.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me of that. And second, are the schools' contract negotiation covered by that stabilization fund?
They are to an extent, just as ours are covered to an extent. The status of those contracts, I would defer to the mayor to respond to. Oh, no. Okay.
Okay. No, well, it's okay. It's all good.
No, what I can't tell you exactly which contracts. There's been a couple that have been settled, and they are able to fund them, if I'm not mistaken, from their own already set aside budget, is what I recall. So at this point, they have not asked to access contract stabilization for any of their contracts at this point.
Thank you. That's I'm good with that. Councilor DeSorger, did that answer your questions?
It did in part, but last year, as I recall, we had at the end of the year like about 10,000 left in contract stabilization, and we were going to have a methodology of how we were going to use this money that we were going to put in, and I feel that that's important to like who gets what. So why we put that in? Obviously, I want to fund, I am so in favor of funding everyone's contracts, but because I've had contracts before and I think people deserve a just wage. But I don't want to charge people, I don't want to charge the taxpayers again and put that money in. So what process we use for determining that? Did the Chief Haig ask for the money to come out of, I'm sure he didn't ask for it to come out of stabilization.
That wouldn't be his decision.
No, I know. So I'm just saying, will we have a policy going forward? I think we talked about that last year.
I think we do have a policy. The free cash that was in there, the 300,000, that actually is from last year. It was from last year's voted free cash. So without knowing what the final contracts would be, because they were all negotiated this year, the mayor and I sat down and did a reasonable estimate of what we thought increases would be. And that's the amount we would put in contract stabilization.
All right. Councilor DeSorger?
So how many more do we have left?
We have
Fire.
Oh, the ones that have not come to you yet. Yes. Okay. Yeah, we've got, I was going to say, all the dispatch has been done. And one unit of the police department, the supervisor. So we have a couple that are left to negotiate. The dispatch is being done right now and is very close. The fire department will be coming to you. The fire department contract will be coming to you now at your January meeting, and most likely dispatch and hopefully the unit B from the police department. So 3, one of which has been negotiated, and we're just cleaning up some of the language before we pass it on to you. And they are subject to ratification, and so I don't believe the fire department has voted yet.
Thank you, Mayor. That's perfect. As we're going forward, I just wanted to know how we were going to use that contract stabilization.
Well, I think Liz sort of out, if I may, Councilor Forgy.
Sure.
I think Liz sort of outlined it to you briefly in her explanation just a few minutes ago, which is that we always want to have enough money into contract have some money in contract stabilization. It's nice that we had a little extra for free cash this year, so we could put it in a couple of different places. And one of which was contract stabilization, because we knew we were negotiating all of the contracts this year. So that's the policy in particular, is to make sure that we always have money in contract stabilization, to anticipated at least, to satisfy whatever contracts are in negotiation. Once these are done, we're good for a few months before they start right back up again. So
well,
they won't all, we are hoping that we can finally get them to a staggered place where they don't all happen in one year, and that will also be helpful, Councilor Forgy, in terms of how much money we have to move in and move out of contract stabilization.
All right. If there are no more questions, I would like to call for a vote. All in favor, please indicate. Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. We're making good progress. There's quite a lot to get through. All right, order number fiscal year 22-063, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Rita Gardner, order that the sum of $150,520 be appropriated to fund retroactive wage provisions of a new contract agreement with the United Public Services Employees Union, Department of Public Works, to be funded as follows. Free cash, $81,819. Sewer retained earnings, $35,000. Did I read this already? No. Okay, sorry.
Oh, you did the one from
the other one. Okay,
the central
got it.
maintenance.
Got it. Sewer retained earnings, $35,916, and water retained earnings, $32,785, for a total of $150,520. Majority vote required. Is there a second?
Second, DeSorga.
Second, Mayo.
Okay, thank you. We got lots of seconds. Is there any discussion on this? Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Doug.
It's just a simple question: does this cover all the employees that are at the DPW? I'm not talking about management, but I'm talking about all the online workers at DPW.
Yes, I think so. I think
Yes.
the answer is yes. It's there.
Central maintenance is part of DPW now,
Yep.
but it was negotiated separately because it's their first contract. So,
Okay.
But yes, yes.
Okay.
Is.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions? Discussion? All right, I'm going to move to a vote here. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimous. On to the next one. Fiscal Order 22-064, the City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Rita Gardner, an order to appropriate from free cash in the amount of $1,700,000 to capital stabilization. Ordered that the City Council appropriate the sum of $1,700,000 from free cash to capital stabilization fund. Majority vote required. May I have a second?
Second, Mayo.
Is there any discussion on this? I think it's self-explanatory. If there's no discussion or questions, I'll move for a vote. All those in favor indicate aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes unanimously. All right. Fiscal Order 22-059. This one's a little different. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council approves the attached resolution titled, "A Resolution Authorizing Development of Greenfield Skate Park by Appropriation or Borrowing, subject to reimbursement from the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities, PARC Grant Program." Majority vote required. I think we have to read the resolution too. A resolution authorizing development of Greenfield Skate Park by appropriation or borrowing, subject to reimbursement from the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovations for Communities Park Grant. Resolved that the City Council of the City of Greenfield hereby votes to appropriate and to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the mayor, to borrow up to the sum of $780,000 for the purpose of development of Greenfield Skate Park, which has been dedicated to park purposes by the City Council, and that the City of Greenfield be authorized to file any and all applications deemed necessary for grants and or reimbursements from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts deemed necessary under the Parkland Acquisitions and Renovation for Communities, PARC Park Grant Program, and or any others in any way connected with the scope of this resolution, and the City of Greenfield and the Recreation Department be authorized to enter into all agreements and execute any and all instruments as may be necessary on behalf of the City of Greenfield to effect said project. Can I have a second? Okay, thank you. So if I just could for a moment, this is a little bit different. We have Christy Morris here with us as well. Seems a little odd that Ways and Means should be voting on a resolution. But in our chair's discussion, it was concluded that it was appropriate because it's tied to a money piece. So the resolution has to come first. We have to accept the provisions of the park grant, and we have to recognize what the responsibility of the town is through the resolution. That's the easiest way. I hope I haven't misrepresented, but Christy, would you like to add a few more words? May help us. You mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Can. You hear me
can.
now? Okay. I don't think I had my volume on, sorry. So I think you outlined it pretty clearly. Basically, we have to, as part of the grant, we have to dedicate the land in perpetuity as a parkland, and then authorize the city the full amount of the grant. And remember, it's reimbursable. So the full amount is the $780, and then we'll apply for reimbursement based on the 70-30, as we've talked about with the capital.
We had already authorized a borrowing for this to go forward for, it was, if I believe it was 400,000 or in that area.
350. It was actually 350.
Okay. And so the authorization is out there. And maybe this is more of a finance question. I don't know, Christy, but we're asking for the 780 with the
Right.
350 being out there and the $400,000 grant coming in as a reimbursable. So the authorization is sitting there. I'm assuming there hasn't been a borrowing done yet. Maybe Liz would have the answer for us. And then I guess the question would be, why are we authorizing the 780 when we already have authorized the 350?
So if I may, Councilor Forgy,
Please.
So the state requires that the full amount be in the authorization. And then, as I had emailed the mayor and Liz, we can do two different things. We can then in January rescind the first 350 that was approved, or I guess in retrospect, if we were to rewrite this, we could have added in that the 350 was already approved, but it was the language was approved by the state grant coordinator already. So I think it's the easiest route is to rescind it, but obviously Liz Gilman and the mayor will have to advise on that, because in order for us to finalize and secure the grant, we need to have both of these votes by the end of this calendar year, this month, which is why thankfully you guys did the first reading last week for us. So Liz Gilman, do you have anything maybe you want to add, or did I cover it?
I understand Christy's concern with already having pre-approval of the language. I can submit something for January committee chairs to rescind the previous order, if that's, and that would happen prior. My concern was with all our capital improvement programs coming, which will come in April. But that should be rescinded before April if I submit it in January. So that's fine.
So,
Christie's plan is fine.
so basically, the authorization is being rescinded. There's no money that's been borrowed against that authorization.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And we'll expect that in January then.
Yep.
Mayor, did you want to say something?
Well, you just, the way you stated that, Councilor Forgy, it made me have a question. You have already authorized the 350.
Right.
If we rescind it in January, I guess the question is, do we then have to reauthorize it at some point down the line, or is it understood that that's part of the capital budget when you approve the capital budget?
That's an interesting question.
I don't want to complicate issues tonight for sure, because I think the rescinding is probably the better way to go. But
the thing that I worry about is that we go ahead and do the full amount tonight, the 780, and then we fail to rescind. Then that means that there's over $1 million out in authorization for the project.
Right. Yes.
And that's my big concern.
And we don't want that. Yeah.
I can go on a little bit of faith that we would rescind in January.
Okay.
Particularly because this is a project everybody wants to see go forward.
Yeah.
How does the rest of the committee feel? Is that okay?
Yes. Councilor Forgy, I'd vote in favor of this. I was in favor of it as long as we all agreed that we were rescinding the other borrowing. Because that's fair.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay, so if there's no other questions or comments, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. It's a unanimous
Thank you, Christy.
vote. I believe there's another, well, let me just look at this again. There's a lot of paperwork here. There's a second part to this. Yes. Yes, there's a number of parts. Okay. Okay, Fiscal Order 22-058, the City Council. Move to that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council approves the attached resolution titled A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield, Massachusetts, to dedicate the land for the Greenfield Skate Park permanently for park, playground, or recreation purposes. Majority vote required. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Greenfield, Massachusetts, to dedicate the land for the Greenfield Skate Park permanently for park, playground, or recreation purposes. Whereas the Greenfield Skate Park is a community-wide asset, and the preservation and improvements to this recreation area is a city priority as evidenced in the city's most recent open space and recreation plan. And whereas the city wishes to meet the present and future needs of all city residents, and whereas the city wishes to preserve this resource for recreation purposes in perpetuity, and whereas the city has the opportunity to make improvements to the site using state grant funds that require Greenfield Skate Park be permanently dedicated for park, playground, or recreation purposes, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to take such action as is required to comply with the requirement of the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Parkland Acquisition and Renovations for Communities, PARK Park Program, Grant Program, that the Greenfield Skate Park, as shown on Assessor's Map 57-93, become permanently dedicated for park, playground, or recreation purposes under Chapter 45, Section 3. I believe that needs a second.
Second, Jonas.
Mayo.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this? This is the second part of what we just did. We voted the money and now we're voting our approval for the mayor to move forward with the project. Councilor Jasorga.
Does this tie us into the Chapman Street parking lot? As when the library project tied us into that specific site, does this by this
Yes.
vote, do we hereby say that this must be in the Chapman Street parking lot?
Yes.
And how
It
much
does.
was paid for the Chapman Street parking lot?
How much? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
How much was spent to do the Chapman Street parking lot initially? That wouldn't have been my first choice for the spot. So, but by hereby voting this, that's what we're doing. I just want everybody to be clear on that.
Yes, and actually the language says in perpetuity, and that can get to be a little scary. If the dynamic of everything changed, but there's always ways to negotiate things. I'm not saying that's going to happen or going to be necessary to do, but 50 years from now, that may turn into a pocket park or something like that. We don't know. We won't be here. So it'll be up to Christy to carry on. Anyway, I'm sorry, Christy. I couldn't
I will
resist.
not be here either.
Oh, okay, fine. Now that we're all on the same page. So yes, it is. It's permanent in perpetuity. So we are voting that. Any other questions, concerns? Okay, let's vote on this motion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, it passes. Unanimous. I think that at this point, we are now into the part of our program that we will be discussing the tax rate.
Chris, there's one more order after that one.
Is there? Hang on just a minute.
Yeah.
Did I miss one? I'm trying to find it, Ed. Could you read it, please?
It says order number fiscal year 22-67A. Does everybody have that?
Yes, but that's actually going to be a discussion on our tax.
So we're going to have that discussion first before we vote on this motion.
Yes, let's just pause for a minute and make sure that everybody has caught up, that we're set on our money items are done. And I don't think there are anything else that we need to consider for tonight's meeting as far as our money
Councilor
motions.
Forgy, I abstained from the location.
You did abstain. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Councilor Sorger. So we had 4 votes in favor and 1 abstention. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay, everyone, we're gonna move on, and we have the following motion, and this is where we received a lot of documentation explaining the tax rate and the recommendations, and the motions are based on the recommendations. So we'll move forward on that. Order number fiscal year 22067A. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the City Council adopt a minimum residential factor of 1, resulting in an equal tax rate for all classes of property for fiscal year 2022. Majority vote required. Is there a second?
Mayo.
Thank you. Is there discussion? we have with us, we have Assessor Regary. I think Assessor-elect Jim Geisman is with us this evening. I know that, I'm looking for the name here. Harold Scheid is with us this evening as well. And I think Sandy is also here with us. If there are any questions or discussions or any concerns people have, how they got it, or why they have this recommendation. I know we did a lot of work on this at our last meeting, but this is going to go to council tonight. Okay, any concerns, any questions at all?
Council Forgy.
Oh, Council Jasorga, go ahead.
So I think at this late hour, it being where it is in December, it would be unwise for us to hold this up. It's going to cost the taxpayers and the homeowners a lot more by waiting. So by not setting our tax rate now, I think that would be unwise. However, I think that going forward, we have to keep on the table the discussion about a split tax rate, because in effect, we have a split tax rate where the homeowner is actually paying more. And I think some of the questions that we brought up, it's not the time for it right now because of the hour, but I just want to shot across the bow. I want to keep that on our radar, that we continue this discussion, because we've had several concerns about the lack of commercial assessment. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there more comments?
Councilor Forgy?
Assessor Gary has his hand up.
Oh, please, I'm sorry, I don't see you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Assessor Gary.
It's okay. I'm not hearing a lot of questions here. We're happy to stick around. I myself, I imagine possibly Jim Geisman and Harold and likely Sandra will be at the council meeting. So if there are not, I know you are working to make a vote here, a recommendation, I should say. But if we'll be around too for the council meeting at 6:30 if there is not a lot of discussion now. So all the councilors could weigh in on their points of view.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I know that, I think it's important, and I think it was mentioned a couple of times by different people, that it is the 11th hour to talk about a split tax rate, and that we should do due diligence next year in working and trying to understand and figure it out. I think perception is a piece that needs to be worked on. I think that we also, by doing that, we will provide some, I want to use the word comfort, but we provide some expertise to taxpayers so that they will understand that we're all working towards a good goal of appropriate tax assessment in Greenfield. So I may not be the chair next year, who knows? But I think that Ways and Means, whoever chairs it, should continue working with the assessor's office to understand the whole setting the tax rate, and also talk about a split tax rate early in the game. So we have options. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that?
Yes, this is Harold.
Oh, Harold. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
So we have one little matter that we're having to contend with. I've been sitting by my computer for the last several days, waiting for Boston to give us the final go-ahead on our valuations and growth. I've even, within the last 5 minutes, had a quick last-minute question. I know everybody in Boston is working to try to get everything stamped and approved for the 6:30 meeting. I'm just hoping with crossed fingers that we get across the line. There are about 80 communities all vying for the attention of the folks in Boston. And I had some assurances early on that we would, as a city, be pushed to the front, but we're unfortunately right down to the wire. So it's my hope that within the next few minutes even, we'll get the red light or green light. Thanks.
So we have to, Assessor Gary, go ahead.
Sorry to be doing this with you folks right here. Harold, at 5:17, I just forwarded you an email. At 5:17, we did receive an email from Mass DOR.
Good.
If you want to look at that, that might be what you're looking for. So,
I think
welcome
it,
to
I
our
think it is.
Yeah. Well, that
Roxanne,
was,
did you get that? You were on that too, Roxanne.
Yeah,
I read it.
That message was certification of our values, but now we need the certification of new growth.
Right.
And I had a question just pop up 5 minutes ago. I can't complain. These are folks that are extremely busy, but it does cause me to lose a bit more hair than I've already lost. So anyway, let's keep our fingers crossed that in the next 45 minutes we get that new growth approval.
Okay. So let me just ask, what does that mean? If we are taking a vote to recommend, it's based on the figures that have been submitted to Boston. Right. If they change the figures or say no,
there's
how do we filter this?
Yeah, so there's nothing in terms of the numbers that are going to change. I've worked through all the numbers with our certification advisor. Everything's been vetted from her standpoint. She's just waiting for Boston to affirm her go-ahead with certification of values, which we just received, and new growth. So if the worst case, if we don't get the approval here in the next 45 minutes, I hate to say it, but we're going to have to continue the hearing, perhaps even to tomorrow, if that were possible.
No, if you're talking about a public hearing, that would not be possible. You have to post. So, and you have to, open meeting law you'd have to post. So it would have to be sometime next week. But that would not be up to me per se. I guess please, if you could bear with me 1 minute. I'm a bit confused because the single tax rate is based on the decision to go for a single tax rate is based on these numbers. Is that you're not supposed to recommend? I understand that, but no. The numbers presented is for us to. Okay, please help us.
The only
please help me.
The only thing the city council needs to vote on is whether to split the rate or not. The problem is one of protocol. DOR does not allow city councils or boards of selectmen to vote on that question until they have issued their final stamp on everything. But nothing's going to change with regard to that question.
Okay. Mayor, go ahead, please.
I could be wrong, and if I see a Kathy on here, if that is Kathy Scott, she can maybe enlighten me as well. But I believe you can continue the public hearing under the original posting that you have, as long as you state the time and date certain.
That is my understanding as well.
Yeah, of the continuance. So if it's tomorrow at 5 or 5:30 or 6 or whatever is a suitable time for the for the council and the Ways and Means. Let's see what happens by council time, but certainly if you
Well,
folks want to
I
vote.
just checked my email and everything's approved.
I'll shut up now.
Very good. That's very
That's called
helpful. Thank you.
under the wire.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been bird dogging this for several days now, and I am beat. This is anyway.
Okay. So back to the members of Ways and Means. Everybody just heard the good news. Are we feeling like, I'm hoping we're all feeling that we want to vote at this point on this motion. If there's no more questions or concerns, then I will ask for a vote. All in favor, please so state aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. On to the next part. Order number fiscal year 22-067B. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the City Council votes that no residential exemption be adopted for fiscal year 2022. Majority vote required. Is there a second?
Second, disorder.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No questions, no discussion. Then I will ask for a vote, please. All in favor, indicate aye.
Aye.
Am I hearing other ayes? Have I got
Aye,
five?
aye.
Have I got five? Okay, good. Any abstentions? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Our third part of this is order number fiscal year 22-067C, City Council order, City of Greenfield, Massachusetts. The City Council moved that it be ordered that the City Council votes that no small commercial exemption be adopted for fiscal year 2022. Is there a second?
Second, disorder.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please indicate aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. I think that puts us just about at the end of our program. I'm just going to go right back to the beginning again. Thank you very much, everybody. It was, that was quite a lot of work. So we'll continue on with the program. This is now time for public comment. I will check the chat box and see if anybody. Okay, I do not see anybody in the chat box. Is there any discussion at all by any of our Ways and Means members? Is there any other business? Council Disorder.
I have a question or a motion or just something for new business. Our the charter states for legal counsel for city council that city council is entitled to legal counsel, but I don't see that as a budget item that's separate from legal counsel. And I think I just wanted to bring that up for a topic of discussion because sometimes it depends on what information is given to the lawyer. I don't know if anybody else has any concerns about that.
Okay. I've got that down. I'll bring it to chairs for our next chairs meeting for discussion. Is there any other business?
Could Council 4G, can I follow up before Director Gilman leaves us? And wishing her well in her new endeavors to be with her grandchildren and retirement. And thank you so much, actually, for all your help along this way. But on that note, we don't have anything in our budget for that. Isn't that right, Director Gilman? There's nothing that we have.
That is correct.
Okay. but I don't want to take time when we get to the big meeting, but I do want to wish you well and thank you for all your help.
Thank you. That would be something also very appropriate to bring up during the budget process.
Agreed.
May or may not want a line item.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everything.
And we do wish you well, Liz. Thank you so much for all your help. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I also want to take an opportunity before the meeting closed this evening. A new council is coming on board. We're going to be reorganizing. I don't know if I will be chair of Ways and Means, but I do want to say what a privilege it has been to work with all of you. We have not had easy times, but we managed to persevere and do our work and get through it. So I congratulate each and every one of you. I thank you for being wonderful colleagues. And I, again, really appreciate the work that you've done for the city of Greenfield. And I hope someday that we'll serve on another committee somewhere along the line. It would be my honor to do so. So thank you all very much for everything you've contributed to Ways and Means this year. Okay, now having said all that, before everybody starts crying, our next meeting is Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, 5:30 p.m. at the City Hall Meeting Room, second floor, or via Webex if required. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, DeSorger.
Thank you.
Mayo.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you all very much.
Yes,
I'll see
thank
you
you,
in
folks.
half an hour. Take care.